Okay, so I've been through and collected out the photos that I wanted to use with these pages, and I've got 2 landscape photos. I haven't attached any of these photos yet. I just wanted to start by just showing you where we're up to. 2 landscape photos for the first page. I've got 2, they were portrait photos. Now I think before, when I was working with this page, I actually had the mat up the top, but I've decided I'm actually going to turn it around and use it. This photo I've cut down, I've just cut 1 centimetre off it, so it's 10 by 14, and this one's a 10 by 12. I'm going to put this one on first and then sort of overlay, and I'm just trying to get, I'll probably get a little bit of the this photo on the left overlapping onto the white. Then for the one with all the squares on it, I'm going to do these 3 portrait photos, but what I'm thinking of doing is actually matting the middle photo on this bit that we cut out from the centre of the very first page, and I'm going to actually put it on popped up so it sort of sits up a bit from the page, so it'll be in the middle and it'll still run the 3 photos straight across, but I'll get a little bit more layering happening with this middle photo if I mat it on here. So that's what I intend to do with that one. And the last one is just going to be 2 portrait photos on the mat that we have here. And so that's where we're going to go with the photos. But before I start gluing the photos down, what I want to do is work on this page first, because one of the things that Shamel does that I really like is she will splatter some paint or some ink or something around, and it makes the page more fun, and it gives it lots of movement. And what she's always looking for is sort of a diagonal across the page somehow. If you have a look at this one, she often will try and make this L shape on the page, and you can see with all of these, this is where I'm heading. This one here, we don't have an L as such, but we'll probably work on the diagonal. And for this one here, we've definitely got the L happening here. And so that's where we're heading. But before I glue any of the photos down, what I want to do is splatter some ink on this page and put it aside to let it dry. Because it can take a little bit of time for that to happen. So I'm just making sure I've got everything out of the way. I've still got all my leftover bits of paper that I haven't done anything with. I'll put them right out of the way as well. I don't want to get paint over any of my pages where I don't want it to go. And I just use acrylic paints. I've started buying inks just recently, but I still keep going back to the acrylic paints to do my splattering with. And so my paint's not the best sort of paint, but anyway, I just get a little bit of paint and I just add some water, and quite a bit of water, and I just smush it around so that I've got quite runny colour. Now, the colours that I've chosen, I've got the yellow because of the yellow in the mat. I'll probably mix a little bit of blue into here to get some green next, and I've also got some red put aside so that I can work with it. So you just get some fairly runny paint and you make a mess, but that's okay. And all I do is flick up against the paintbrush, and it's quite a stiff paintbrush, and I just get some splatters. If you want bigger ones, you can sort of go in with bit better, bigger drops to get some bigger drops happening. So I'll just add a little bit of blue to the paint. So I'll just go here. I just want to make a nice green, so if I just pull in a bit of green, a bit of the blue. Now that's quite a lot darker than I was wanting, but you'll see that that colour isn't too bad when you compare it to what's on the page. So I'm not good at mixing paints, so it's often I end up with colours that I don't quite intend to get, but I'm happy enough with that one. And we'll just flick a bit here again, and some down in this corner here. And the last bit I'll put in is some red. So I'll just put in a drop more water here, and I'll wash my paintbrush out. Just get a little bit of red happening. And I'll just splatter a little bit of the red as well, to give me the colours that I want to show up. Okay, so I'll just put that aside now and give it time to dry properly. I'll just clean up my mess and I'll come back and we'll start sticking photos down. Okay, we're just about ready to stick the photos down, but on this page, on this one here, I decided what I want to do because there's some writing on the basic grey paper. I thought what I might do is just sort of carry that on in using that L shape that we were talking about a minute ago, and just put some writing down here. And I've got this great stamp here that I often use. It's just got writing on it, and I'll just sort of put it there in the corner to tie in and sort of get that diagonal thing happening, as well as the L on this page. So when you're stamping, you just pad your stamp with the ink and just make sure you get lots of coverage on it. Okay, and then don't sort of rock your stamp when you put it down. Make sure you've got a flat surface to work with. I'm going to have it on a slight angle because the one up there is on a slight angle, and I'm just going to put it down and press in the middle. And we're not going to rock things or anything like that, just straight press will do it. With a bigger stamp, you need to make sure you give it some pressure all over and then just lift straight back up, and then you've got your words inked on the page there. And now what we'll do is we'll just go through and I will glue, stick down all of the photos that we've got ready to go. Okay, so what I'm doing here is just using my double-sided tape and going through and sticking both of the pictures down. I just use 4 strips in the corners, and you can see here what happens is I get the second one down. As often happens with me, I'm terrible at getting things straight on the page, and so I'll put it down and I have to pull it back up again. But the really nice thing about the double-sided tape is that it allows you to do that, so you can actually go through and pull it back up if you need to. I'm being a bit more careful here, lining things up and getting it right the first time, which is nice. with this one here, what happens, I want to line these 3 pictures up across the page, and so I start with the first one and just get it on the mat first of all, and then I just put the first one down where I want it to be on the page, and then I need to line everything up from there. If I wasn't using the mat, it would be easier because I could just put the second one down beside it. But what I did was just put the matted photo roughly where it needed to go and just judged to line it up. And again, just using the double-sided tape for the photos. The one on the mat, I'm going to use pop dots, so I'm using some foam dots here and just sort of going around and putting them around the edges so there's plenty there. And then I decided I probably would need some in the middle to stop it sagging down, and so I just added a couple to the middle there as well, and put it down on the page, and we're done. Okay, I've also glued down the photos of my daughter. I've got to be a little bit careful because that bigger dot in particular is still just a little bit wet, so I've got to be careful what I do here. But I wanted to talk about embellishments, and what I've sort of been playing a little bit, and what I'm thinking of doing is adding some bunting to this page, and probably on an angle right over that dot, which I won't do right now. But because this is something to do with her birthday, I wanted to sort of make it a bit brighter and lighter. And so what I did, instead of pulling in some of these scraps that we've got, which I could have done, I just went to my my leftover bits and pieces, so where I put away any sort of little bits and pieces that I have, and I've pulled out, looking in the colour in the triangles, trying to find colours that would work. And so you can see here I've pulled out the red and the yellow to match fairly well. Then we've got the different coloured blues that are pretty good match. They're not totally right, but they're close enough for me not to be too concerned. And then the green. So we've got a few scraps to pull in here. And what I did earlier also was playing around looking for ideas to embellish with the other pages as well, and using my die cutting machine I sort of did exactly the same thing. You can see I used this green here as well, I've used the yellow, I used a red cardstock and a black cardstock, and I also used another scrap of paper in that tealy blue colour as well, which is very similar to this one here. So I've cut these out, but I just wanted to show you that, you know, although we had some leftovers, they weren't quite what I was looking for, and so there's nothing wrong with going to your stash and pulling some more out, as long as they work with the colours that you've got. And you don't have to use whole pages, you can use just scraps that you've got and use up some of your scraps that are sitting around. So what I want to do with these ones now is to cut some more bunting flags, and I'm not sure that I'll use this one here. I might make a completely different one. So all you need to do is cut 2.5 centimetres by 5 centimetres, and then just cut a wide V out of the bottom of each flag. I quite like the idea of stapling the flags onto the rope, and I'll probably do that again. You just need a bit to fold over the back around the twine, and then you can work with it there. And so I'm thinking at the moment I might do a smaller sort of scoop and then sort of a wider scoop, and I'm going to put my heading here. And I'm actually thinking about journaling around the box here, and so that will sort of pull the whole page together and it will be finished. So I think at this stage what I'll do is just stop and leave you to fix your photos to the pages, and then look for some more scraps that fit in with what your photos and what's going on with your photos. If your scraps that you've got left over work really well, you can use those, and I still might use these on the pages. If you you think you want different colours, you want to pull out different colours, then go and look in your stash. There's no need to cut a full sheet if you don't want to. Just find bits that will work, and that's where we're going to go. So I'll see you in the next video. I hope you're enjoying it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the pages that you make based on this these videos that I'm doing. Thanks.